Hello everyone, good day. Today we will be talking about a continuation in our lecture, which is the module 6, Social Self, relating harmonious and properly with everyone. Today, at the end of this module, you will be able to explain the basic concepts of social relationship, discuss how relationship with other could enhance and improve by applying the ideas on social relationships, identify and evaluate factors of meaningful social relationships, differentiate behaviors that make for acceptable social relationships from those behaviors that are not acceptable, and analyze behavior to achieve harmonious relationships with others. So first, we will be going to discuss about social psychology. When we say social psychology, it is the branch of psychology that deals with social interactions, including their origins and their effects on individual. It is a study of social relationships or interactions. According to Lahi 2007, defines social psychology as the branch of psychology that studies individuals as they interact with others. It is the way how we interact to others. So next is according to Plotnik and William Jan 2014 stated that social psychology is a broad field whose goal is to understand and explain how thoughts, feelings, perceptions, and behaviors are influenced by the presence of or interactions with or others. People interact and behave in certain ways when they are at home with their family, when they are at school with their classmates and teachers, when they are at work with their superiors or fellow workers. Another from Gehrig and Zimbardo 2002 stated that social psychology is the study of effect of social factors on individual behaviors, attitude, perceptions, and motives. It is likewise a study of behaviors as influenced by interactions and transactions between persons. For example, institutions, family, school, religion, or even a government. So, as I've said, social psychology is the study of social relationship and interaction. When we say interaction, it refers to a mutual and reciprocal exchange of communication or action between two or more persons or a group. It is more of exchange of communication, like in your classmates at school, your family. When we say relationship, it is referred to a particular way in which two or more individuals or groups or even countries to talk, behave, or toward with each other. Is more of a deeper meaning compared to interactions. For example, a relationship. So, example is your boyfriend, girlfriend. It is more complicated, or it is have a deeper meaning compared to your classmates. Another deep example is that your friends. It has a deep meaning between your friends and your classmates. It is all about the understanding of each other's individual behavior is influenced by the social environment in which behavior takes place. So that is social psychology. Next is all about person perception. It is an element of social psychology that refers to creating impressions and making judgments about another character after seeing or a person's meeting him or her. The assessment involves as well what kind of person one is, including intentions, traits, and that is according to Plotnik 2014. So as about first impression, which are formed within a very short time with a little conscious taught and biased by past experience are part of a person's perceptions. This according to McRae and Quadleaf 2010. We have what we call physical appearance, which it is one of the important factors that influence one's perception of another. Sometimes, when an individual makes an opinion on a person based on perception, he or she tries to justify or explain the said judgment. For instance, rather than simply looking at the other person, the observer tries to explain or looks for a person why the other person dresses or behaves in a certain way. People usually use external appearance as an immediate basis for judging or evaluating others. However, it is wrong to judge the character of a person on the basis of first impressions because biases and errors may occur. It is advisable to always validate one's perception through further observations, gathering of feedback and reports, and interactions, among others, before making judgment. Concrete example for person perception is in the election. As we all know, election is a formal and organized choice by vote of a person for a political office. Usually, or maybe sometimes, our first impression of a politician is that they are corrupt. Yes, I am not saying I am, but most of the time I heard or times when we say politician, first come in our minds or negative impact is that corrupt, which is very wrong. Which is we should validate and observe before making judgment.
Social norms. Norms are the implicit or specific rules shared by a group of individuals that guide their interaction with one another. It determines the rules that guide people what is wrong or right, proper or improper, and acceptable or unacceptable in this society. There are two most popular norms. First, norms of appropriateness, which is commonly exhibited in the type of clothing a person wears in a specific situation. Second is the norms of tact and courtesy. It is the manner and behaviors that shows a person's refinement and civility as well as the use of appropriate words and gestures that convey politeness and courtesy. For instance, when somebody make a mistake or slip his or her words and actions, we don't laugh or make fun of the person in order not to embarrass him or her. At the same time, to express our respect and courtesy. Social norms are the unwritten rules about how to behave. We expect people to behave in certain ways in particular situations. Social norms provided us an idea on how to behave in particular social groups or culture since it is the accepted standards of behavior. Each social situation entails its own particular set of expectations about the proper way to behave. Also, social norms reflect commonly shared beliefs about appropriate actions with expectation that others will follow them too. These appropriate actions then become prominent among all possible behavior. Take, for example, covering one's mouth when sneezing or coughing, disposing properly the used face mask, and maintaining social distancing. In daily people interaction, behavior have to be controlled or regulated because of social consequences. It is one's responsibility to make sure his or her behavior doesn't offend or disturb other people. Every people should make sure that the interactions other with others enhance or improve relationships to maintain and enjoy harmonious relationship. Also, human beings need norms to guide and direct their behavior to provide order and predictability in social relationship and to understand of each other's actions. together as a group. A group are a number of people who work together or share certain beliefs. Together as a group correlates with teamwork, which is the combined effort or the action of a group to achieve a common purpose or goal. It is also associated with respect for individual contributions and setting aside individuals' glory. An example for this are students working together with a project for a project or reporting. There is a positive and negative side of working together as a group. The positive side is the social facilitation, which is a psychological concept relating to the tendency for the presence of others to improve a person's performance in a test. There are two types of social facilitation. First is the coaction effect. It refers to your performance being better in tests merely because there are other people doing the same test as you. An example for this would be working a social project with co-students instead in a solitary environment. The second type is the audience effect, which refers to your performance being better because you are doing something in front of an audience. An example for this would be a performer who becomes energized by having an audience and thus a better performance. In other words, social facilitation depends on someone's familiarity with the task. Individuals tend to perform much better in the presence of the audience and or his or her competitor, but it tends to decrease performance on unfamiliar tasks. For an instance, a professional painter who has won many awards might feel energized by the presence of the audience and have a live performance in both local and foreign country. However, someone who is just only starting to paint might be anxious or distracted by the pressure of performing under an audience and make mistakes they wouldn't have made when they practice alone. The negative side of working together as a group is the social loafing, which described as the tendency of individual to put forth less effort when they are part of a group, because all members of the group are pooling their effort to achieve a common goal. Each member of a group contributes less than they would if they were individually responsible, or in some instances, the other member in the group will just rely on the group leader, in which the group leader end up getting stuck doing the entire assignment. Psychologists have come up with the four causes of social loafing. First is the motivation. People who are less motivated by a task are more likely to engage in social loafing when they are part of a group. Second is the diffusion of responsibility. People are more likely to engage in social loafing if they feel less personally accountable for a task and know their individual efforts have a little impact on the overall outcome. A good example for this is voting. Some people choose not to vote because they don't think their votes will change the outcome. Third is the group size. In small groups, people are more likely to feel their efforts are more important and will. Therefore, they contribute more. The larger the group, however, the less individual effort people will extend. Example, if you have a large number of a group working on a project, it is easier for individuals who are not motivated or productive to hide because there are more people to pick up the slack. And lastly, expectations. If you expect other people to slack off, you probably you probably will as well, since you don't want to get stuck doing all the work. On the other hand, if you are in a group of high achievers who seem to be in control of everything, you might also more likely to kick back and let them handle all the work. Group homework projects are another great example. One student does all the work and the other get the grade. Those who don't work on projects are considered as social loafers. Overall, regardless of the number of the participants in the group or the variation of the abilities, one must bear in mind that it is important to exert effort to attain the objective of the group as a whole.
Conformity. It refers pressure to yielding to group to thus even act as everyone when no direct request has been made. It confirm the conformity is a type of social influence and change of belief or behaviors in order to fit in with the group. Example, when a person drinks and drives because friends do it or because friends assure that person he or she can safely does. Conformity may have two motivations. It either to receive a reward or to avoid punishment. They have four factors that makes conformity exist in a group. One is size of the group. It is the more people there are in a group, the more likely a member tends to conform. Second is anonymous groups. Conformity is highest when an individual faces a group in which all members feels the same way about a topic, a problem, or an issue. For example, just imagine if you let third grades vote on what's served at lunch, like pizza and candy would be the anonymous choice. Other meaning of anonymous, like it is majority, like when you vote in class officer. The third one is culture. Conformity occurs in all cultures. However, some cultures emphasize that the welfare of the individual. These people are less conforming. Others focus on collective welfare, so people tend to be more conforming. A high degree of conformity leads to faster accomplishment of a task. The fourth one, the factors that makes conformity exist in a group is gender. Gender in the past, females were more likely to conform than males, but research has shown that it is no longer the case. And that's all about conformity and its factors that makes conformity exist in a group.
There are three most common kinds of love. First is romantic love, second, affectionate love, and last, consummate love. Romantic love, also called as passionate love, is one of the major reasons for getting married. In a study by Burchide, Snyder, and Omoto in 1989, college students chose a romantic partner rather than a parent or a sibling as their closest relationship. I think that's because their lover knows them best than their parents and siblings. Next is affectionate love, also referred to as companionate love. It's a type of love that occurs when someone has deep and caring affection for a person. I think this kind of relationship is the type to be clingy to each other or the type of wanting him, her near constantly. And lastly is consummate love, a type of love that our parents have. According to Robert Sternberg, consummate love is the strongest and fullest type of love because it involves passion, intimacy, and commitment. These three components are included in the triangular theory of love. And so, the next topic I'm going to discuss is the triangular theory of love. The triangular theory of love holds that love can be understood in terms of three components. In 1985, Robert Sternberg postulated that love is made up of three components, namely passion, intimacy, and commitment. Passion is a strong and barely controllable emotion. It's a feeling of intense enthusiasm towards or compelling desire for someone or something. Next is intimacy. It's an interpersonal relationship that involves physical or emotional intimacy. It's characterized by the emotional feeling of warmth, closeness, and sharing of the relationship. And lastly, commitment. It's the cognitive appraisal of the relationship and the intent to maintain it even in the face of problems. As you can see, there's a triangle. This triangle is Sternberg's triangular theory of love. A combination of these ingredients form a kind of love or love-like feeling. These ingredients are passion, intimacy, commitment. For example, if passion is the only ingredient present, the feeling is infatuation. And if intimacy and commitment is present, the feeling is companionate love. And if intimacy, passion, and commitment is present, that's consummate love. Remember, every one of us is capable of loving. That's it. I hope you understand the discussion. And so, on to the next topic.
So let's talk about attitude. Attitude is a belief that predisposes people to act and feel in certain ways towards people, object, ideas, or everything around him or her. According to Sir Winston Churchill, attitude is a little thing that makes a huge difference. I know that all of our attitude changes from time to time, and one of these factors why our attitude changes is persuasion. A person's attitude may change or be modified even after they have been formed. Persuasive communication plays a big part in this process, especially if the speaker is powerful enough to persuade a person, then there's no doubt that a person will really change. There are two types of attitude: a positive attitude and a negative attitude. When we say positive attitude, it is reflected in a happy, pleasant, or optimistic disposition of a person. So, there are four types of positive attitude: confidence, happiness, sincerity, and determination. Confidence. It is one of the good attitude and one of the basic things in the list of positive attitude. A confident person is not afraid to show what he or she can do, what he or she have, because she has enough confidence for it. Next is happiness. A happy mind is an abode for all the good things to solve. Confident people are quite happy as they are not worried about results, interviews, and other similar things in life that are meant to test us. Look within yourself and you will find happiness. Next is sincerity. An individual with a positive mindset is often found to be quite sincere. A person that is sincere is aware of the work to be done, and they know that the only way out of a situation is through it. Sincerity is one trait that you should never let go of or compromise. Next is determination. A determination is one of the primary rewarding points of a person with a positive attitude. A person who is driven and properly determined will overcome all impossibilities, especially if he or she really wanted to do or to achieve the thing, then there's no doubt that a determined person will achieve it in no time. Now, let's talk about Negative attitudes. A negative attitude is something that every person should avoid. Generally, will people will negative attitude ignore the good things in life and only think about whether they will fail. They often find a way out of tough situations by running away from it. So, there are three types of negative attitude. First is anger, doubt, and frustration. Anger. A person with a negative mindset is often found to be angry most of the time. Sometimes there might not be any kind of specific reason behind their anger. Anger is the root cause of self-destruction. While some amount of anger is good, extreme cases of anger only lead to destruction. Next is doubt. A person can question himself, but he or she should never doubt himself. If you have a negative mindset, then there's no doubt that you will also doubt yourself. Self-doubt will lead to no progress and will often lead to low confidence. So we should avoid having self-doubt. Next is frustration. A negative person is a frustrated person. As said earlier, attitude defines the person, and that is why if you are frustrated, that will show on your face and you will be facing some serious difficulties. Frustration will not help you build your career. It is an irritant and will keep preventing you from taking any positive step forward.
Proceed to social roles and social norms. Social roles and social norms. People are social animals and are almost always in the company of others. Being in a group can be both advantageous and disadvantageous. Advantages involving or creating favorable circumstances that increase the chances of success, of effectiveness, beneficial, and the disadvantages in involving or creating unfavorable circumstances that reduce the chances of success or effectiveness. It means social roles and social norms are the part people play as members of a social group. With social role, you adapt your behavior changes to fit the expectation both of you and others have of that role. Each social role carries expected behaviors called norms. That social norms are the accepted standards of behavior of social groups. Example, shake hands when you meet someone and greetings to teacher every morning in school. Social rules specify the part of position of a person in society. It also specifies behavior expected to be exhibited by an individual in practicing his or her role. Whether aware or not, a person may play several roles, each of which influences the behavior of another individual. It is important to note that social roles play an important and positive roles. It means we need to aware what we do. An individual's behavior undergoes changes so as to meet the expected behavior of every role he or she plays in particular circumstances. Understanding well as those the roles of others as of one's own facilitate people's ability to work together toward common good. When people work together in groups, the efforts of the of others, different members need coordinate with those of prevent chaos. Next is sociogram. A sociogram indicates the social structure of a group and the relationships of people within the group. An example of sociogram is of a positive criterions that can be used to create a sociogram are which three classmates would you most like to go on a vacation, or which three classmates do you like? It means you need to choose one of your classmates who you want to be with you on vacation. And that's all about conformity and their factors and social roles and social norms.
Next are nature and depth of relationships and the triangular theory of love. Let me first discuss about nature and depth of relationships. There are three parts of nature and depths of relationship. First off is familiarity. Second is attraction. And third is love. I'll first talk about familiarity. Familiarity comes from the Latin word familiaritatem, which means intimacy or friendship. It refers to being comfortable with another person. For example, your best friends, your siblings, your parents, and so on. Research has shown that people like to associate with others who are similar to them in terms of hobbies, personalities, taste in fashion, and the likes. So we can say that people may befriend you because you both have similar tastes in different things. Next is attraction. Attraction is a feeling of liking someone, a quality that causes an interest to someone or some things. For example, your crush. You're attracted to your crush because of his, her talents and good looks, or personalities. According to Sandrock, attraction may lead to deeper relationships, and that deeper relationship is what we call love. So to the next and last part of nature and depth of relationship is love. Love is an intense feeling of deep affection. It's a special attachment one has for himself, herself, or for somebody else. For example, your love for God, your family, your love for yourself, and etc. There's a study that shows that we fall in love at least 3 times in our lifetime.
Next is how attitude originates. So let's talk about stereotypes. Stereotypes are generalizations in which the same traits or characteristics are assumed to be possessed by all members of a group. And the other one is the account of stereotypes are based from the outsider's experience in a particular attitude group. Of a person developed, for example, over time. Ilocanos are typewords and have emotional components. Visayans are fun-loving and Kapampangan women cook better than the people other groups develop of women. Positive or negative attitude. Those were the example of stereotypes of an object based from the outsider's experience in a particular group. Negative so, for example, let's say when you were negative young, stereotype is accompanied by prejudice and discrimination. Because of the traumatizing experience that now, what is prejudice? Prejudice is an unfamiliar, biased, or intolerant attitude or opinion towards members of group. Want dogs near you. For example, another example is oversized or plus-sized women can't wear any clothes they want. Happy family, but normal-sized women happy can. Childhood, you're happy at school, and also because of their stereotyping, so because of the confidence enjoyable of experiences, happy experiences the women will become less. It will tend. This is not. You will correct. Tend to have a positive attitude. Discrimination. Discrimination is the specific unfair behavior or next treatment towards the member of others. So when we
Attitude
say
are also learned
discrimination
from others,
it
from
already
modeling
talks
and
about
reinforcement, the treatment or behavior
For
towards other.
example,
While prejudice
an
is
example
just
of
the
positive
opinion of
attitude
others
is when you grow
towards
up
a
in a
particular
family
thing or
that
object.
loves to help others,
For example of
do
discrimination is
charities,
a
and
driving
because of that,
company
you saw your
refuses to hire
family
women
doing
because
that.
they believe that
There's a big
only
tendency that when you
men
grow up,
can do this
you will
job,
be just like
and
them. You will become
they
a
believe that
person who
men
loves
is
to help
stronger than
others.
the women, so that's
because
why
of
they
them.
don't accept women
Another
as
example
part of their
is
company.
when
So
when you
there are
saw
also
your
two types of
friends
discrimination.
or your barcadas
First is the
discriminating others,
racism and the
bullying others.
sexism.
And because of that,
When we
you will
say
thought that
racism,
you should also do
it
it.
is a discrimination
And because
based
of
on the
those,
skin color of a
there's a big
person.
possibility that
For
you will also
example,
do what they are
a black
doing.
American
So that is an example of
are not accepted
and bad attitude
because of their skin,
of
because they
others.
were black.
You saw it from others, and then
Sexism is
also.
a discrimination based on their gender.
That's it.
One of the example for sexism is the LGBTQ community. Some of the members of the community are discriminated because of their gender preference, and that is an example of sexism.